Welcome, everybody, to the RnR Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us. I'm calling this one a late reaction. I'm here with Zach Levere. I'm Ryan Foley. This is the RnR Catcast. I forgot to mention that off the top, but we're here to talk a little bit about the Cat Griz again and get into some basketball. Zach wasn't with us last week, and he's just becoming a mainstay on the show, and I just wanted to get his takes because him and I have been texting, and he's got some hot ones. So, Zach, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I'm more cooled off than I was that Wednesday? We were texting. I was on a plane coming back from Arizona, seeing the grandparents, and I was getting pretty fired up listening to another podcast from a certain university over the hill. And I think we were fire texted. It was me, you, my dad, and Authority. We were just fire texting each other like, we gotta jump on the mics, we gotta go, we gotta talk. But I'm having a great week, man. First off, volleyball team, season's over, but they reclaim the trophy. They keep it in Bozeman, and started last Friday off with a Cat Griz sweep of the Grizzlies in volleyball. So awesome start to the week there. And then the football game on Saturday couldn't have gone better if you're a Bobcat fan. 12-0. How does that sound?
It's unreal to me. I've been thinking about it all week long. Short week of work over here for us teachers and kids. And so I had a lot of time stewing on it. Went back, watched the game again, have some extra thoughts. We're in that in-between time right now. This is currently Friday afternoon. And so we don't have any results for the playoffs tomorrow. So we figured, just some content. I know if I'm a Cat fan, I'd be just jonesing for some content. The local media outlets have not been putting out much because of the holiday. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone out there. And so for us just to chew on the game a little bit more in the state of Bobcat land, I'm sure some people will like this.
How many times have you rewatched the game?
3.
I think I'm at 2.5.
Yeah.
I did one consolidated version of like 40 minutes worth of just positive plays, and then I rewatched the full game twice now. So
my kind of take lately on it is Montana State dominated the first and fourth quarters and played pretty evenly through the middle half.
I think our defense played 4 full quarters of defense, which was what we needed. And then I think when Julius Davis went out, what we were trying to do kind of game plan wise on the offense kind of faltered, if that makes sense.
What are you thinking?
I just think our run game and what we were scheming to call, we call those bruising back plays and stuff. And Adam Jones had himself a day. Don't ever underestimate that kid. But he's a different back, and you got to call certain plays for that guy. And shout out to the Grizzlies for one thing that we had heard is their defensive line wasn't very good. They sold out in the box for most of that game. But I believe, and the biggest thing I've heard from Griz fans is, well, we contained the run, and if we had contained the 88-yard run and a couple other runs, that game wasn't over. And I watched the last couple drives of that game that we had on offense when Colson, Kuhn, and Jones were going through it. And I just think, hey, they gave it their best effort for 3 quarters, but we, it's like late in a boxing match when one guy's clearly winning, and it's just, you can't throw any more punches. And that's where I think the Griz defense was late in that game is they just were done. They were battered and beat at that point.
Yeah.
I watched those last 2 drives. When we punched it in, and then when the O-line punched us over, at the 2-minute mark to get that first down, it just felt we had won the fight.
Yeah. And it was as if we just broke the camel's back after that 88-yard touchdown and then running it into the end zone 2 plays later. It was done. And the wind was taken out of their sails. So, like I said, Montana State dominated the first quarter and the last quarter. The thing that was really surprising to me, going back and watching it multiple times, is how little we passed the ball. Tommy Mellott only had 12 attempts. We completed 6 of them. And considering how many defensive players the Grizzlies were putting in the box or close to the line of scrimmage, within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, because they obviously knew we were going to lean in on the run. I thought the passing game would have been more open. We could have taken some more deep shots down the field, because every time Tommy did take a deep shot, we had success. We had Taco, we had Rohan. Those are 2 long plays. And I just think that was something that was, we didn't go to the well on, and it could have been something that would have opened up the running game. A little bit more on the running game too. I thought we were inches away from being really good, just breaking some. And then I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit, but Tommy, I felt, had a couple misses where if he pulls it, they're house calls or big gains.
And that's leads me into my first point I had I sat down and typed down some thoughts. No Tommy ball in this game. And you're exactly right. There was one play, I can't remember exactly where it was, but if I describe it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was around midfield. Tommy pulls the ball and goes around the right side towards the scoreboard side of the stadium, towards our sideline. And he is maybe half a foot away from that. It didn't show it on the TV, but he was half a foot away from taking that to a house call, because the entire defense and everybody else on the field was shifted to the other side. And I think it went for 9 or 10 yards, and he was pushed out of bounds. And if he was a half step ahead of that guy, he's gone.
Yeah. I do remember that play.
Yep. And it leads me of, yes, Tommy could have had some bigger gains and some, yards downfield like he's had. But again, I'll sacrifice a couple Tommy ball plays a game if it means he's healthy and he's not getting hit. If we're at the point of the season where those hits are adding up, the biggest thing I thought about was he's tucking it and running. He had a couple nice runs. He had one towards the goal line at the end of the game too. But that was my biggest thing, is no Tommy ball. And I thought he played overall a pretty smart, safe game.
To kind of build off of that point where that play you were just saying, there's probably 2 times I noticed just as a fan where Montana State is running it on the far hash side, and he gives it to Jones, and Jones takes it to the field side, and Tommy bumps out to the boundary, and the Grizzly defense is flooding the field side, takes out Adam Jones, 2-yard gain. And I'm looking at that, in the defensive end that Tommy's reading has pinched so far inside. He only has to beat him. And I'm going to take Tommy one-on-one in space against anybody. And he did that probably 2 times, maybe 3 times. I'm like, oh, man. Again, like, maybe it's just me as a fan going, maybe I'm not seeing it the way I should see it. But it seemed like that was a missed opportunity a couple times to just have gashing plays.
Did that game ever feel close for you? Like, it was like, okay, it's a 16-point game. They got the 2-point conversion late, but I was kind of like, all right, we just scored a touchdown on our last drive. They had to throw the kitchen sink to get that and have a 4th down play go their way, fumble into the end zone, and somehow still score. After the first score, when we had that 9-minute drive to start the game, 9 minutes of just pushing it down the field. And I just felt after that drive went that way and we just did that, I was like, they're not winning this game, or the Griz aren't, at least. I was like, this could be tighter, but after that, I was like, there's no way the Griz win this football game.
Thorny mentioned he thought that was going to be the beginning of the avalanche, but it wasn't.
I did too.
I thought the Grizzlies played pretty even ball, but I think our defense continued to dictate the terms, and get timely stops for our offense to kind of sputter through the middle part of that game.
Yep. Fife had little to no time to throw most of those plays. Dude, their longest play of the game was a 21-yard play, and it was him scrambling for his life down the field and getting open and nearly getting sacked. That was the longest play they had in the game. Like, that's insane. That's crazy to think about. It wasn't a pass play. Down? It wasn't a run. I don't think it was a 4th down. It might have been a 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like a 3rd and 11 maybe. But their longest play of the game is their quarterback with a broke down pocket scrambling for his life. The hats off to the D, man.
So they went 18 for 35, 18 completions on 35 attempts for only 117 yards. And you're telling me that our pass defense did not dictate terms? Yeah,
No,
we absolutely did. Like,
no,
if he was waiting for stuff to develop downfield, he
he
didn't
didn't
have
have time.
time.
He
Absolutely
got
didn't have time.
of those
He would have been
35
smoked.
of those 35 times he threw the ball, I think he got hit and brought to the ground 30 to 32 of them.
Yeah, people are
I mean, that's
saying, well,
insane.
we didn't put up anything in the seams. We didn't do this. Well, when did he have time? He had to make that read and go, okay, I got to check it out to Gilman.
Like Coulter said this week, and they didn't adjust. We put in that Viper package, and I saw it coming. You could see the safeties just creeping up. And we dared them to be like, you're not going to have time to get Junior Bergen or anybody in the flat or Racanelli in the flat. Good luck.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to be so. That's why they had to be so horizontal. Was they had no time to throw the ball downfield. We boxed them up.
Yeah. And how sweet is it to see our defense peaking at the very end of the season
without three starters and two massive seniors contributors?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing that we need to discuss is our twos stepped up, and that's awesome because the twos we saw at the beginning of the year against Maine and Mercyhurst and some of the other ones, we had questions of, all right, they're letting some points go. This thing's getting, not tight, but it was like this. Come on, guys, like don't give that play up. What are we doing? And we're now at a point where I trust a lot of our twos, and that's just creating a deeper rotation coming into the playoffs where you will likely have injuries. It gets colder. Football gets harder in December.
I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like our offense has been there, but now to have that salty defense where those guys are, like you said, just the twos have become the ones.
Yeah, some of them
It's
have.
just, yeah, it's really cool. Tommy's stat line, I want to focus in on Mr. Malott for a moment. 6 of 12 for 94 yards, 10 carries for 50 yards with 1 touchdown. If you would have shown me that stat line or said, hey, Ryan, this is going to be his stat line in a game, I would have said, yeah, that's probably some team we've blown out halftime. He's played 2 quarters,
Yeah.
3 quarters. That was a ridiculous stat line for Tommy Malott in a sense that like he was just administrating the ball at a high level, may I state, at an elite level, but just weird. In a big time game, I
He
think
takes
I
a
was
defender every play too, even when he doesn't have the football.
100%.
When
And the
he's handing
Grizzlies
the
were
ball off,
spying him.
they still have to have a DN or a linebacker on their skates to see where he's going.
Yeah. And
So
there's so many. Yeah. I just kind of lament because I think there was some meat out there that we could have had on those Grizzlies with Tommy's run game, and he just gave it. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's a directive from the coaching saying, hey, we're going to win this game regardless. We don't need you to pull
That's
it
how I
here.
kind of felt is you're going to hand the ball off and these guys are going to get it done.
Yeah. All right.
And that was kind of my thought. But dude, it was a great day in Bobcat land. I think I texted you guys today. Imagine where we were this time last year. We were depressed, man. Basketball wasn't going good. Volleyball loses in the tournament in the last game to win their first ever conference title. Football, we had just gotten our doors blown off by Montana, and we're staring down the barrel of North Dakota State coming here. It's just, that was so depressing. And to be just sitting here like, it's great.
It's good stuff, man. It's a great time to be a Bobcat. So before we got on here, you said you had a couple talking points you wanted to get into. And I said, all right, let's go for it, buddy. Let's talk about them.
All right. So we've gotten into a couple of them, but the one that I really want to focus on, and I think the thing that got me fired up the most is, and we're going to talk, normally we don't talk other teams that much, or we're a Bobcat podcast, but I think I want to make an exception and talk a little Montana too, because again, it's the rivalry and it bleeds into so many things, and it bleeds into so many things that make us us. And one of the things I took away, and it's a tiny snippet, but before our home games, we play the clip from the TV show Yellowstone with Beth Dutton. And the context of the clip, if you haven't seen it or haven't been to a game in a while, is they're talking about bad news in Montana or bad press because it's a private equity group. And one of the main characters stands up. She goes, "People move to Montana to get away from bad news. And they care about three things: what time the rodeo starts, the weather, and who the Bobcats are playing." And that's the clip. And then, the crowd cheers, and that's right before kickoff. And the Griz fans thought it was stupid. Like, I can't believe they play that show. And that, to me, stood out as a key difference of, though my mother hates that show. My mom's from Billings. She goes, "That's not real Montana. It's so fake." And it is pretty fake. But my biggest takeaway from that is it's modern. People care. People watch. People love that show. They buy merchandise. They buy t-shirts off that show. They plan vacations off of that show. So if a silly TV show that's on one of the major networks that is one of the most popular TV shows in the country, if it shouts out Montana State and you have people from the East Coast or anywhere in the country who are like, "I might watch a Bobcat game now because the show I'm watching is, from there or around there, mentioning there," that matters to people. That gets eyeballs. That's how you sell an athletic department. That's how you sell tickets. That's how you put butts in seats. That's how you fund things. That's how you get NIL going. It's just such an old take of, so what if you don't like where that media is coming from, or you don't agree with the show or the direction of Montana? And that's a whole different conversation. But the fact that they just don't get it, man. They don't get that you can adapt, and you need to adapt and die in this sport. And right now we are adapting. I mean, we've got a brand new football facility. We've got a brand new scoreboard. We've got a brand new, indoor facility. God willing, we've got a brand new, side to our stadium, hopefully in the next couple of years. But the money, though Bozeman's changing, the money and everything that's coming in, embrace it. It breeds winning. If you're winning, money follows. Sorry for my rant there, but that's just my thought is, embrace the things that are going to make you successful. Don't push away things because you disagree with how it represents Montana.
Yeah.
Like, it's the biggest take of all time. Why would you turn down that publicity?
I don't know, man. Like I said yesterday, I said is an old man country club afraid of athletic change department that is holding on to their successes from 2 decades ago. I went on to say their death grip on their brand has left them on the outside looking in at the same time MSU leads the conference in innovation and forward-thinking athletics and institutional development. The remark that has turned into every man's team and MSU is distinctly not Montanan is laughable. And I think that sums it up pretty well.
You can see it from the hype videos. If you go watch Montana's hype video before the brawl this year, they called it the Montana Way. And all it focused on was the history. And if you watch our hype video from this week, it was, "This year is unlike any other year. This team is special. This, the time is now. We are here right now. This is the season. This is the future. This is where we're going." And that just hit so prevalent of, they are clinging to history of 20 years ago and 30 years ago of what they were and what they did. And yes, they had a great 2023. They did what we've done besides one loss. And, we've been pretty much more dominant all year. But that's my biggest thing is they are stuck in the past. With the resources there, you should be able to win 11 games every year and be a top 4 seed in the playoff, period. It is inexcusable at the University of Montana to not do those things.
100%.
They should be in the Big Sky Conference, and they've been, cackling just like about moving up and stuff. And I'm like, move where? You guys have been in the same, rut besides last year for the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it, man. They're focusing on other bright, shiny things and not what's going on right now with their team and their athletic department. We are 6-0 in the Brawl of the Wild series against them. We have whooped their butt in volleyball, men's and women's cross country, and football. We're going to whoop them in track again. Let's see how basketball goes, but I feel pretty confident both our basketball teams right now to at least get splits. Yeah. We've kept that trophy, the Brawl of the Wild series trophy, for 8 years in Bozeman. 8.
There's a
Like,
couple common denominators that keep the Grizzlies kind of stuck where they are. They win just enough to keep the fan base happy. And the fan base has a strong tradition. And you're right. They're riding the coattails of that tradition. I think like guys like Bobby Houck, and whether you hate him or love him or wherever you fall on the Bobby Houck uh, coaching persona, he's got some flaws. And his flaws come out in weird ways, and they're kind of different year to year. This year they were more on display with the quarterback debacle in my brain. And it just leads to these weird seasons where you're going, man, I'm kind of glad like the Grizzlies are stumbling a little bit, but they have no excuse to stumble. They have a great stadium. Like we both agree on that.
yeah,
They have a great stadium. They have
they've got great
great
fans.
great fans. Exactly. They have it all. They should just be, if they had a forward thinking athletic department or a forward thinking coach, they would be they'd be so difficult to beat. I mean, they have everything they need. And that's where Montana State is now. Like it's taken us a while to get there, but we've surpassed so
It
many
took us 20
things
years,
that
man.
yeah, we surpassed so many of those barriers. And the remarks of them going, well, our game day experience is better. They're just like clinging to something at this point. And it's like, well, if we surpassed you on pretty much everything institutionally and athletically, who's why would you think we're not going to surpass that as well? And just give us time. So it's just weird how different the athletic departments feel, because I'm pretty sure Montana State, if we were stuck in mediocrity, which we were with Rob Ash, guess what happened? We fired him.
Yep.
They make changes when like Leon Costello and company, Waded Cruzado are not afraid to make changes and disrupt a couple boosters out there to make and have a vision of where we need to go, even if it's sacrifices in the short term, because they know the vision of the athletic department for the future will flourish.
I think of the scene from Moneyball. I love ding. Here we go. I think of the scene from Moneyball where I think Billy's talking to one of the scouts or their manager, and he just goes, "Adapt or die."
Yeah.
And he just goes, you have to adapt and die. And look with that movie and analytics and baseball. It's laughable if you say they might be beating us in enrollment, but they have way more out of state kids. Their school has way more out of state kids. We get the in state kids, which is BS. But who cares? Numbers matter.
Yeah.
Numbers, especially out of state, and adding the they get the rich out of state kids. Okay, those parents probably are donors. You are breeding a donor class for the future. Those kids are going to graduate, get great jobs because they're going to a great school, and hopefully, give back to the university and like winning.
Yeah.
So if you sit on your old man country club, guess what? The old men die and eventually go out to pasture, and eventually there's no more new old men, and the country club becomes a public municipal course that the grass gets cut once a week. Like, come on, man. Stop clinging to it. Embrace the future.
No, to say like kids like me who grew up in Great Falls are not going to go to Montana State because it's too expensive. It's not. In-state tuition is
in-state tuition is perfect.
Yeah, it's just stupid. That Montana State is not distinctly Montanan anymore is completely laughable.
So laughable.
And it comes at the end of a 3-hour drinking club with those boys over there, and we really enjoy that crew. They're good guys, but I think
they're great guys. I do actually really like those guys, and they've been awesome to us. But I can be a fan and rebuttal them, and we can talk some smack. But
yeah,
again, we won the game, but it's not about winning the game. It's not really defending our university. I don't feel like I need to defend MSU because you can look at the numbers for yourself. I'm more looking at, this is going to sound wrong, so wrong, but every game I root against Montana. Whoever they're playing, I'm rooting against the University of Montana. But a rising tide lifts all boats, and Montana being good is good for the Big Sky, and technically probably pretty good for the Cats. So Montana being good means a good rivalry. It means college game day comes. If Montana is like they are this year or worse, college game day ain't coming.
Yeah.
No, you get more eyeballs when the rivalry is good. You get more, people buying tickets and doing stuff when the rivalry is good. You get coworkers talking about it more when the rivalry is good. The reason we talked about, I said, and you mentioned it, I thought it was a coronation. Walking around the stadium pregame, talking with Cat fans, talking with people in the athletic department, talking with football staff at the bar after the game and several of the players, 1-0, but they knew they were going to whoop their ass. Like, that's how it kind of was. They knew they were going to run the ball down their throats. The defense was ready to go. They knew they were well prepared for what they were going to do for the most part. And Griz fans, for the most part, knew that was going to happen. I thought that was as good as the Grizzlies could have played for the most part. That game could have been way uglier, not the other way around.
Yeah, if we stop them on that 4th and 8 when the snow was flying,
it's 34-3.
Yeah, in its full tilt Bobcat Stadium, right?
Yeah,
I feel bad. Like sidebar, like Aaron Fonts, like his leg just collapsed. I watched that in slow.
Ooh, you never want to see that.
It was a non-contact injury too.
Like that. Yeah.
All right,
it
man.
Stinks.
Well,
but anyway, environment was great after the game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Dude, Moni playing at the 2-minute mark. Like Thorny said, I've embraced it for a long time. I remember, deployed, getting ready for a flight in 2022 and listening to it after the game in my headphones. Like, yeah, like I love it, man.
Yeah.
I don't care that Grizzlies say, oh, they tell us to eat something, but screw you. It's our stadium. It's our university. I love that. If that breeds the rivalry and gets everybody into it a little bit, I'm in.
Yeah. Thorny and I are of the same age, and it's just, we go back, we were in school 2001 was my freshman year. And I never take anything for granted because I remember how that felt, man, and what the stadium was like. Zach, think about this. My first time getting Cat Griz tickets, I was in the stadium, and the announcer comes on the PA and says, "All right, Bobcat fans, Cat Griz tickets are for sale over at the brick or the brick building where the BAC
where
is now."
Yeah, yep.
There was a ticket office over there, and I was like, "Wait, you mean we just go over there and grab one?" And there was like a little line, and he would walk up, you show your one card, and you're like, "Yeah, I got a Cat Griz ticket." That was it, man.
Now you got to pay over $300. Student tickets sold out in 10 seconds. The queue was full.
It's unreal. It's unreal. All right, buddy. Talk to me. I want to switch. I got a question for you that we hadn't talked about prior to this. How should Bobcat fans absorb and think about the rumors that will be coming down the pipeline of Coach Vigen being rumored for this job, and this job?
Well, that's actually a great question. They're to be expected. That was my first thought. I was thinking around game 6 this year. We are so lucky to have Coach Vigen. I think he's a great family guy. I think he's a great leader. I think so much of him, honestly, as a person. And, I have a little bit of a personal relationship with him as a coach, and I've talked to him several times. He's very personable, he gives everybody the time of day, and, he does have that Midwest nice. Mm-hmm. The thing I would reassure Bobcat fans is Coach Vigen has coached at 3 stops in 25 years now, I think. I think it's right around 25 years. He spent 15 years pretty much, maybe a little less, at his alma mater of North Dakota State, working his way up. He followed Craig Bull, which the entire staff did, to Wyoming as offensive coordinator. He was there for 5-7 years, decent amount of time. I think it was 7 years. Mm-hmm. And now he's been in Bozeman for 4 years. What that says to me is the family does not like to move. He likes to stay. He's a northern guy. He's going to find the right job for him, and he's going to build what he wants to build, or he wants to be around other people who are building things he, agrees with. He's very loyal. So what I'd reassure Cat fans, even if he goes and takes, the money's out there, obviously. He's got a kid on the team right now. He's got a senior in high school who's coming in next year to be on the team. He is 44-9 and absolutely beloved in Bozeman, with one of the top recruiting classes in the FCS, better than quite a few FBS teams if you go look at it. He has a young staff of coordinators and other players that he's built. He's built everything correctly. So to take a Mountain West job, you are likely stepping into a dumpster fire. That's the first thing. You are going to, if you take a certain Mountain West job, you are now stepping into a team that expects to elevate to a Pac-12 status and be competitive at a Pac-12 level. So those things are very prevalent to me, as well as he has been in North Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana. Fully, besides Alaska, I don't know if there's a colder state. So the guy going for a California job or a Southern job, I don't see happening. That's kind of that's what I tell. Now, I've given that side. If it does happen, if at the end of the season or before the end of the season, Coach Vegan announces that he is leaving, first off, Leon Costello hasn't had a bad hire since he's been at Montana State. So there's there's a confidence level there that they're going to do their due diligence and find the right man for the job. The second thing is there's a defensive coordinator at the University of Nevada who played here and coached here for a long time, who I looked up his salary today, would get a pretty nice pay bump to come back to his alma mater and be the head coach. As well as there's a defensive coordinator here who could use the pay bump and has proven that he can coach a defense and lead a team and be absolutely loved by everybody. So would we take a step back? Maybe. Would Bobcat Nation be okay in the long run? Yes. Kramer, Ash, Choate, Vegan. They all elevated the program. Every one of them, besides Choate, won a Big Sky Conference title. So Bobcat, the things that we have, the scoreboard, the titles, the team, the stadium, the atmosphere, the fans, the boosters, you have a lot to sell to another coach or an incoming coach wanting to be here. So though I would say I'm not really concerned, there's a lot of things around here to make you feel good that we are in good hands as a program and as an athletic director, as an athletic department, and as a university. I hope I made you feel better.
I think it was a wonderful response, Zach. It's a wonderful response. I have nothing to add.
I've been to 9 games this year, man. I've been invested just as much as you guys, and that's my conclusion.
I tend to think as a human, and I try to put myself in Coach Vegan's shoes more often than I should, probably, because we run this podcast. We try to think Bobcat athletics all the time.
You should see our text thread there, everybody. It's hilarious. We throw wild accusations out on a daily basis at each other.
Yeah, where I'm trying to get to is just his life in Bozeman. I don't think you can quantify how much that would probably mean to him. Those don't show up in numbers. No. His belovedness, right? For right now, who knows? Like, let's say, and this is he hasn't proven to be this man, but let's say Coach goes on a mediocre streak. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but he's beloved in Bozeman, right? It's a great community in an amazing state. To be the head man of Montana State football, which is the face of your institution. I mean, that's a lot right there. Like if it is it worth $1 million more to go somewhere else? And some people around listening to be like, heck yeah, it is. And maybe it is. Maybe when it all comes down to it, and he's 20, 25 years down the line, maybe 65, getting close to 70, and he retires, he goes, oh, that was a good decision because now we can afford to have our second house in Aspen, Colorado, or whatever it is, and how it's the best plan. But we went 5-5 for the rest of his career as a mediocre Mountain West or whatever. I'm not projecting that's what he would do. I would have fully assumed he would continue to build and win like he has here at Montana State. But to be the man in Bozeman, to continue to build that brand, and Zach, you know where I think the future is going for the program, and you and I have kind of differing views on that. But let's say it does go Mountain West or Group of Five somewhere in the future, to be the head coach in that position. I, I think he's probably liking what he has right here, right now, and I think that's worth a lot. And I think that's not something it's going to show up on the margin in the athletic department, but it means a lot to him and his family.
So I'm going to make a comment and then ask you a follow-up question to start. Sonny Holland is probably the best football coach to ever coach at Montana State to this point. Would you kind of agree, as a statue at least?
Yeah.
Okay. 7 seasons. I think he was 5-2, maybe 6-1 against the Griz. He won a national title. It's probably the best. He coached 7 years. When I look at Coach Vegan at 49 years old, I think a lot of other schools have coaches who have been there for a long time. Washington has Don James, you know. I mean, look at the other school. Look at Montana, I mean, with Reed. So, some schools just have a guy who is a legend. Nick Saban, those kind of guys. You look at most schools, they have a dude who is a legend, and you're always compared to the legend, right? At Montana State, nobody goes, well, you better be like Sonny Holland, or, you know, that was a long time ago, but nobody's gonna go, well, Sonny Holland did it this way, so we got to do it this way. But if you stay at Montana State for 15 more seasons and win, you know, a couple national titles, make a couple more appearances, and maybe he cools off a little bit. Maybe people figure him out. We don't do that. If he stays 20 years here and, you know, goes on a run like that where there's a couple titles and stays at Montana State, which I firmly believe he will do if he stays, pity the next guy, because there will be a Brent Vegan statue outside of Bobcat Stadium. I know we're talking 4 years in and we're coming off an undefeated season and the highs are high right now. And even though last year things weren't going well, I still thought he was the right guy for the job. I thought things were a little difficult, but I never questioned where we were going and the team he was building. So that was one of my thoughts, is you have everything laid out in front of you to go be, you know, the guy of FCS football, but also the guy of Montana State. Now, to my question, we disagree. I think we disagree how we want to get there or what it will take to get there. But I think we both agree that Montana State and Montana in the next 10 to 15 years will probably end up in the Group of 5. I think that's where we sit. Ask yourself, take off the Bobcat hat, take off the Montana hat, take off the Idaho hat. If you're looking at Idaho and you look at Jason Eck, he said if Idaho goes back, if Montana State and Idaho get offers from the Mountain West or the Pac-12, I look at Idaho and I go, Jason Eck could probably win some football games and be fine at the Mountain West level. I look at Brent Vegan and I'm like, we'll be fine at the Mountain West level. He's coached in the Mountain West before. He knows what it takes to win. We'll be fine at the Mountain West level overall. It'll take a couple years to probably get there, but I think we'll be fine. If I look at Montana and Bobby Houck, I don't feel very fine. So when you look at those master plans, and I do believe, you know, conversations would happen long down the road if we were looking at interest for another conference. Yes, I think Brent Vegan's the right man for the job to bring us into, you know, the FBS level, dare I say.
If nothing else, he's laid or continued to build upon the blueprint that is Montana State's standard. So, you know, if he goes on and takes another job, like you said, I'm fully confident that we would have a great hire. And man, as you continue talking through this, I'm just like, man, we have it so good right now. Like, it's just like, it's coming up Bobcats, as Tony said. I love that saying. It's coming up Bobcats, and that's what it feels like right now. So super stoked.
Even with last year's depression and sadness that we had at this time, you knew we would pull out of the dive, right? You knew,
Yeah.
okay, this is a little bit of a reset. We've been pretty high on
Well,
ourselves. Time to get some humility. But you knew we would pull out of that dive, right?
if he made the hard choices
Yeah,
and he did with
he did.
replacing the coordinators,
Yep.
and that's what it took.
Yep. But we all saw that. We all knew that. Like, we all knew
Yeah.
that something had to be done, but the trust was there of, okay, I kind of trust coach. He's given me 2 years of runway of, hey, some things didn't go our way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, look at those losses last year. And again, look at how those teams have performed this year.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Anyway, man, that's pretty much my heated argument takes is stop being such old men. Griz fans, embrace future, and do another thing. I wish the Montana guys could have walked our campus, because I've walked UM's campus and it's staunchly different.
It is.
It
is cozy though. It's cozy up against Mount Sentinel right there.
It's cozy. Hill Sentinel. That's what I call it.
All right.
It's not a mountain. It doesn't have a peak. It's round. It's a hill. Oh.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It was interesting. Full circle. Back to those dudes. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Back to those guys. Gross.
Okay, Zach.
Yep.
Let's get into. Wait a second. Is there any final thoughts on the Cat Griz or kind of football right now?
I thought Idaho got hosed in the seeding. Wild to see that we're the 1 seed. That was kind of fun to, walk out of the stadium and be like, holy cow, North Dakota State's losing and about to lose.
Yeah, that was weird.
What a shock. But
yeah,
first time ever. You were not going to walk through the playoffs. That's silly to say. You're never going to. These teams are going to come in here and give us their best shot. But I feel good. I think our injuries that we had in that game, I think all those dudes will be able to come back pretty quickly. I'm not too concerned about that. I think we'll be okay. And I think we'll roll. And home field advantage gives us such momentum.
100%. That's the biggest thing. Playing at Bobcat Stadium, it's lights out, man. Good luck to the incoming team.
Yeah. Last thought I'll add on football, and this is another athletic department wide, is in today's social media world and today's, world of digitization and everything is immediate, to get recruits and to get fan engagement and to get boosters and butts and seats. One of the things I think is you don't have to, you can't just be an athletic department. You can't just be a football coach. You can't just be, I don't know, just a player. You have to give content. What Sam is doing in the video development program for Montana State Athletics is out of this world.
100%.
That is huge. There is 2 to 3 new videos a day, it seems like. I follow Keaton and he makes the little videos of his, tapes and stuff, and it's nice to hear his voice on all the highlight reels. But you have to recruit kids through content and through social media. You can't just bring him to a locker room, bring him for a game, and call it good. And wish him good luck in their state playoffs. That does not work. You have to show that there's social media followers. There's, as silly as it is sometimes, but you got to show videos with hype music in the background, dudes making plays, a wild crowd, and just, commentators making posts, comments on live TV or national TV. That stuff sells kids. That stuff sells tickets, and that sells boosters on giving more of their money to the athletic department. It is simply that formula. You have to do that. You have to have that fan engagement.
And we've figured that out. Montana State has
100%.
harnessed that.
It's not that hard.
No.
I could have told you that.
And they knock it out of the park. They knock it out of the park every week, man.
And guess what? Every one of those players that's featured in those videos, and every one of the, I know a couple of the cheerleaders because my girlfriend works with a couple of them. They're reposting those videos. They're getting students who might not care about Montana State football or might come from out of state to care.
Yeah.
They get people to show up. They get people, the reposting of those videos, the going out to other stuff. I saw on several national college football sites, Montana State post the rivalry hype video of the year. That matters
Yeah. It
because
does.
there's a 2 or 3 star kid sitting in Texas somewhere who's like, well, I'm getting recruited by a couple Texas schools and maybe some Conference USA schools. But wow, that place has more fans than these other, group of 5 schools. And that looks like fun. And those dudes are flying around and they're making some videos and I can get some social media followers. I might go check out that school. It matters.
It matters. And the thing that I think of is the cat brand is just
Yeah.
being blasted across the United States because of it in such a positive way, in such an engaging way. Like I'm 40, almost 42 years old, and I sit and I watch those videos over and over again because
Yeah.
they give me the feels. They touch something inside of here and in here, and it just makes me go, man, I am so damn proud to be a Bobcat. Like,
Now, now,
continue it, Montana
now,
State. If you're
now I want to
listening to
break that
this,
down.
just
Yeah.
just keep doing what you're doing because it's working. We
So,
share it.
yeah,
All these old
exactly.
guys, like on our text threads, the Foley fanatics, we share this stuff around, It's
when people
crazy.
say sports don't matter or why do universities invest so much in sports, I hate that. That is one of the biggest things I hate in the world because it is the front porch.
Yeah.
I'll break it down for you. Okay. You are coming to Bozeman in a week and a half for a playoff game.
Yeah. No,
You're gonna
in a week, man.
In a week. In a week. We're a week away. You are going to buy some beers in Bozeman, supporting the local economy. You're getting a hotel in Bozeman. You're going to probably buy another sweatshirt or merch in Bozeman.
Yep.
That matters to a local economy of Bozeman. It matters to the town. That content brings people like you who are out of state being like, I want to come for a playoff game. I'm hyped up. Let's do this. I'm a proud alum.
Yeah.
That it matters so much to your university and your enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
And it matters to alums who move away and their kids who want to come be legacies.
Yeah, it does.
So
that's where I feel it mostly is like it keeps me engaged in my university and it gives me pride because I'm like my university is lit, as the kids say.
So lit. Oh, sorry for. I hope everybody has the passion that I have tonight. I've made my points, but
no, man,
you can't live in the past. Sports in general are moving at light speed right now with NIL, with social media, with transfer. Everything is moving so quickly. And I'm so thankful we have the people in charge right now who are doing the things that they do. We are so blessed.
All right.
Yeah.
Dang, man, you just bring it. I love it. Okay.
I'm trying to bring my Wednesday passion. Like I was trying to get myself like hyped up for what I was feeling on that airplane and stuff and I started the episode out. A stupid clip on a TV show that people are like doesn't represent Montana and ranchers and makes us look bad because it makes us look like a bunch of yuppies. That show gets millions of views from everybody across the country a week.
Yeah.
People buy Yellowstone t-shirts all the time. My girlfriend's dad has never been to Montana before until this past summer, and he wanted to go to the Crystal Bar because they had a scene filmed in there, and then wanted to wear a t-shirt and wanted to buy a Yellowstone t-shirt with Rip's face on it. And now he's pumped. He's coming to the game too. His first ever Bobcat game. He's flying in for it because he's pumped because he's been following the cats. Because not just that we're here, but he knows a little something about Bozeman. He knows a little something about Montana that he has a small connection to.
Yeah.
So for your average fanner to get somebody into this and care, a 4-second clip means something to us.
Yeah.
And it talks about us. So,
and I think Montana State, if they have this much momentum right now, they should be beholden to making that Montana, and I'm not talking University of Montana when I say Montana, making that Montana brand accessible to everybody who wasn't born in Great Falls or Helena or Two Dot or Livingston. If you're an out-of-stater and you want to come to Bozeman, Montana, and you want to feel like you belong, Montana State should be beholden to making them feel, yes, you have agency here. And I think they're doing a good job of that right now.
I'm from Portland, Oregon. I had never lived in Montana until I came here to go to school. I
Yeah,
lived in Spokane for my military service. I went to another college in Colorado for a year. I can tell you right now, I stepped on campus day one and I felt like I belonged.
there you go.
I'm the son of an alum. I'm a fourth generation Bobcat. I had that in my veins. I always have had a connection to this place at some point. But I stepped on campus and I talked to other people who came here from other states, and they're like, "This is the place. I'm so glad I came here." Like it just resonates.
Oh, it warms my heart. Warms my cockles.
I'm
All
I'm
right.
so excited for you guys to be here because the game day environment truly is different.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
hope for the
coming, man.
playoff game. I was at the UT Martin game in 21. I missed the 22 season, and then I was at the Bison game last year. I think we show up. Sorry, I just burped. I think we show up as a fan base. I think this run gets that stadium full.
It will.
That's yeah.
It
And
will.
I don't know, man. I'm just maybe we're high. Maybe we're high on our own supply, but we're just seems like we're doing everything so right.
It looks pretty pleasant temperatures. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be
Bozeman's not
cold,
getting
but
it's not getting too cold. Like Friday, Saturday is 42 right now. So, anyways, yeah. What I like about this game setting up is it's going to start at 3 o'clock. Is it 3 o'clock Pacific time or no? That should be Eastern
uh,
time.
1 o'clock Mountain Time is when this game is.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I
All right. Well, then
think
it should
one
end when
o'clock. Yep.
we had that Bobcat gold glow in the sky,
Nice.
and the lights are going to be on, and it's going to be raucous. Yeah. Anyways, buddy, I'm stoked for it. Montana State is the number one seed, but we
Yep.
can't get out over our skis, right? This
Yep.
is like laser focus time. Like I talked
It's
about
one
it
and
on
zero
the
time,
pod.
man. It's 1-0.
Yeah, I talked about it on the pod last week. I said, the Cats should take a moment to celebrate this. Like, not just us fans, but the
Oh, they
players and the
did.
coaches. Okay.
I was in the R bar. I saw quite a few players and their parents. I had some shots with a couple of the players and parents. We did. Don't you worry about that.
But to feel like, they do a good job of putting up the front when they come on the cameras. Yeah, it's just about going 1-0, 1-0. And
Yep.
it's so much cliche now, but it's that time now. It's laser. It's not now, because if they're just changing it now for the playoffs, then they're doing it wrong. And they're not. They're continuing to do the same thing that's made them successful all season long, and that's that laser focus, 1-0. But enjoy the moment, because this is what it's about. Enjoy the moment. Look up around when you're standing on the sidelines. Players, if you're listening to this, take a look take a look and just appreciate it, because you guys deserve it. You guys made it. I mean, this is for you. So I'm just stoked to be there. I'm stoked to meet your dad. Hang
Yeah.
out with you guys, and stoked to see Thorny again. And yeah,
It's going to be a good
Ryan's.
time, man.
We're gonna be there, Bozeman. Let's go.
Bring the coolies. I think I'm down to just one.
I'll I
Are we
literally
ordering
have
those?
5 left. So
Oh,
I will.
time to order some.
Yeah, time to order some. Exactly. All right, man. We're buttressing up against an hour. Give me your short take on some basketball stuff,
Yeah,
because we know
let's
you're gonna
transition
be
to that.
pumping out some brick ball episodes
Yeah.
here soon.
We're going to be doing some stuff. We'll talk offline and get a better plan. This month is always hard because it is crossover season, but it's also, we play a lot away from home, and then it's holiday season, so it's tough. It's tough to make games, but ESPN Plus is great. If you have it, it's awesome to watch Bobcat sports, and it's easy to watch. We make it pretty easy to watch all our sports. So men's team right now currently 3-4. We have wins against Abilene Christian and Southern Miss this week. We looked very dominant in both those games. I've been active on Twitter, starting to build a little bit of a Twitter profile, live tweeting several of those games. Dude, the shooting performance against Abilene Christian is the best I've ever seen. Everything was going in. I don't know what that was. I don't know what these guys. I remember sitting in the brick, like angrily hate texting you guys like, we can't make a shot. Nothing is going in. It is not our night. Like, stop taking threes. We are 1 from 11 from the line. I am upset. I am sad. This is, I remember that. I just sat back while I was in Arizona watching that game, and I just, it kind of just lifted up for me. And I thought, this is it. Like, we got some dudes, and I don't know if it's Logi's system. I don't know. We got some seniors, but crap, man. Everything was going in that game. It was so fun. It was one of those fun games I'd ever watched as a Bobcat fan.
Yeah.
I also had Montana State minus 8.5, so I was feeling very good about that. But those are kind of just, to gauge this team so far. We hung tough with Wisconsin. We played that first game, kind of looked like, all right, played them tough in the first half. Things kind of got away. We closed the gap a little bit in the second half, but ultimately you're playing on the road, a Big Ten team. You got Wichita State, you lose by 20. Wasn't really competitive. Hard game to judge because I wasn't able to watch it, but you go get some. You're getting good experience in good environments, and that's what matters. Getting experience in hostile environments and big time, kind of events helps, because if you do make the tournament, you got a little experience playing those teams, and you know what they're going to throw at you. Northwest Indian, 50-4, I think it was at half, or 55-4.
Yeah.
I have takes.
That was hard. Yeah, that was hard.
I mean, it's cool to see a bunch of dunks, but is there a mercy rule? Can we call that game at half? It just wasn't good. Denver game, I had to listen to Keaton because Denver does not have ESPN Plus. It is so dumb. I was not going to pay for that game, a one-off game. You're down 20 for most of the game, and then you come back and you miss basically at the buzzer to win.
Yep.
It's a game we're going to want back. That was a game. I mean, the Griz took care of them. I think they won by 8 in Missoula. That's a game I thought we should have won. Probably our worst performance of the season, to be honest. And then you go to Northwestern and you put up one of your better performances of the year, and you're tied 69-69 with a minute to go. I mean, you were right there. There was a chance if you make one of the shots in the last minute and it goes down, you win that game. Now, I remember texting you guys about that, but so far you've played 3 major opponents. You've hung tough in one, gotten blown out in the other, and then almost won the third one. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And then you play this holiday tournament, which was so frustrating last year because I think Green Bay beat us in overtime last year, and we had no business losing to that team at home. 0. And you come into the tournament, you play 2 home games against 2 teams that should be competitive against you, and you blow their doors off and you shoot the lights out of the ball at home. And it could be things to come. Again, still early. Max Ongba-Polo. I'm just going to call him Max for most of the season because I'm not saying that last name every time. Good luck, Keaton. We do think we're getting the ball around to guys. We're making shots and we're creating shot opportunities. Brandon Walker, stop dribbling the basketball. Other than that, you're playing pretty good ball and you're making a lot of great shots, and it's good to see improvement throughout the year. So that's kind of my 3 and 4 take is we play Cal State Northridge tomorrow. Yes. And they hung tough with the Griz for a little bit, but they're coming on a back-to-back road trip to Montana from California. You should win that game pretty easily. That's my thought.
Yeah.
My leniency period is over because the expectations are so high, and I believe in the transfers they brought in. I have it up here. We have 13 players who have now played in a game of the 15 that are on the roster, I believe.
See, I'm still thinking there's going to be some time for the team to coalesce.
There is, yes,
to feel the ins and outs of the Big Sky. Which is interesting about this team is the amount of games the starters and players have underneath their belts. Even though there's a lot of new Bobcats, they are a veteran team, and so for them,
you're not bringing in sophomores.
Yeah,
like most of these guys aren't sophomores.
And defined roles too. Like I like to see Jabe continue to be the court leader out there. He seems like a level-headed a guy that we will depend on, maybe as kind of a leader of the team. But then you have guys like Tyler Patterson, who has started the most games for in a Bobcat uniform ever. Good,
Yeah. And
that
he
guy's
looks
a dude.
comfortable this season.
Yeah. Hmm.
That was
And
one of the
as he
things I
should,
thought is,
as he
yeah,
should, right?
that was one of my things I thought is his 3-point percentage, I think, was a little down last year. And one of the thoughts I had was every shot he takes, there's kind of a what if of I might have a guy behind me, or we're not, you his timing, he doesn't have that extra split second to calm down or make that shot. I've noticed
Mm,
that across the floor is when you don't have to do as much and you have guys on this team that can step up and you have dudes you can trust to make those plays and you have that length and you have that ability, you can feel more comfortable and it slows you down and it gives you a shooting performance like we saw the other night.
yeah.
So,
I like the mix of veteran Bobcats and veteran players from other um, teams that we've brought in. I think they will eventually become a hot unit in the Big Sky, and then hopefully, like our defense in football right now, peaking at the
at the
right
right
time come
time.
March.
Exactly.
All right.
So, yeah, that's my again, we are lengthier and we are longer, we are thicker, and we're just a more agile team. I mean, Jed Miller's getting a lot of minutes, which is awesome to see him. He's stepped up. I thought he could be a 6-man of the year this year on this team, and I think that's very capable.
Yeah.
On the other side, I've seen, I looked at minutes. Sam Leckemolot's minutes have diminished quite a bit. And
Yeah.
he was a massive starter. And I think most of our guys, Jabe might be leading the way at 28 minutes a game right now.
Mm-hmm.
How many minutes a game did Robert Ford play? 37 minutes a game, I think he was averaging last year. Just, we asked that dude to be everything and do everything, and he tried his darn best in every game to do that. And it coalesced in what it was at the end of the year. But when you are not running guys out there for 37 minutes a game and you're keeping, a couple guys at 28 minutes and a bunch of dudes at 12 minutes, BJ Colley is one of the guys that I am. He's the 6'10 kid from Western Washington. I was very high on him because watching his tape coming in, he's lengthy, pretty raw, and agile as a prospect and as a player. And I think he can develop into something very nicely. And based off everything I've seen in relief that he's come in on, I'm very high on him on this team.
He's a freshman.
I think he's a sophomore. He played at Western Washington for a year or two. So I think he might have two or 3 years left. Not sure.
Right.
But
for Jed Miller, a little critique for Jed if he's listening. I want to see you take some shots, buddy. You're a good ball handler, you're a good facilitator, but I want to see your role expand on it. I want to see you take some confident shots because you can be that guy for us. Your role could expand if we see you score.
Pull up, man. Yeah, pull up. He is a facilitator though, and he makes it, but he'll be even more lethal if they have to trust him around the basket.
Exactly. 100%.
Take some risk in some of these early games. That's what I'd tell him. Now, I'm not the coaching staff. I don't know what they're telling him, but I'd say if I was coaching staff, I'd say take some risks, take some shots. Who cares if they don't go in early in the season? Let's see what you got.
All right, buddy.
So, well, I'll just shout out real quick. I'll run through just a minute or two. Hang on. I want to do a women's team shout out. They've looked good. They've looked really good. Portland State transfer, Esmeralda Morales. She's been a stud. She's led this team. There was a lot of talent lost senior on our women's team, and they've been fun. And I've actually watched a decent amount of their games. Their only loss this year is to Utah. They beat UCF today. They beat Eastern Carolina. They beat Davis, Cal Poly, Troy, and Chardon State.
Chadron. I'm going to help you out on that.
Chadron. Convincingly. Chadron. Sorry, my D2 pronunciation.
That was such a bad way of podcasting. They're just correcting you twice. It's Chadron.
That was a thorny move. That was totally a thorny move you just did on me.
Yeah, I know it was.
Anyway, sorry. All right. Gosh, first women's seed of the year. I'm screwing it up. They've looked good. They have a lot of leadership. Shoot, man, they're 6-1. They have South Dakota. They played a harder schedule. When you're beating major Power 5 teams like that and you're thumping them like drums, that's awesome. So I have optimistic. They play South Dakota this coming week and Oral Roberts coming up. They're just senior led. They're talented. This is their year to go on the run. NAU's a good team and they are also pretty senior laden. I've watched them in the tournament the last couple of years. NAU, now that Eastern's kind of out of the way, NAU's coming for it, I'll say. They've been in the title game twice now.
Yeah.
But you've got 2 transfers that are making a difference on the women's team. You've got quite a few young ladies who have been here for a long time. And then you've got some freshmen who are now sophomores who are making a difference coming in, especially on the ball handling side of the things. It's time to go on a run for both men's and women's teams. I know we're not to Big Sky Conference yet, and we got a month, but what I want to see is continued improvement on the men's side and continue to thump the teams you're supposed to thump and be competitive against, the mid majors. On the women's team, go kick ass, ladies. Go run it up, because that's what I think they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So that's my basketball hit.
All right. Well, we look forward to many more during the season.
Many more.
And, being able to watch a bit more basketball, the crossover season's always hard. And like you said, the holiday and here and there, but it's been fun on the Tuesdays and Thursdays when we get to catch them. So, man, there was a lot of good in this episode. I think the listeners are going to enjoy it.
Up.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes that comes across pretty good. A lot of people like when Thorny and I have gotten a little bit more hot takey, and not that you were hot takey, but I think you just had some vim, and it was spilling over.
I had some thoughts I wanted to get out, and not really defend the university or the team, but when the Griz look at what went wrong on Saturday, they are not diagnosing the problem, and it's very clear to me, and I just wanted to get that across.
And you did it spectacularly. I love it, man.
Woo! I know my Twitter mentions could be fiery.
Yeah, we'll get this pumped out, and then you could just like drop this episode in the GFP's thread, and then we'll see what kind of bomb that is. But anyways, it was a good one.
I do love you guys. You're good people. You're good fans. You're passionate. I do love you guys. I want to say that one more time. This is not a shot at you guys because they care. That's the thing. This is not really for them who don't care. This is for the common, but they care. They're good guys. The Griz, rivalry aside, they're good dudes over there in Missoula. I'll say that.
All right,
man. Let's get out of here.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.